to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light. Yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
Razavani for IFO TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. With me Saturday night, the knowledge, Spencer Fearon. Spencer's a bit weird. It is weird because I'm going to say I was very much looking forward to the fight tonight, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. But instead, I wasn't expected to interview you on a Saturday night to discuss the postponement of the fight. I'm going to go back a couple of days, Spence. When you heard the newspaper article being released talking about Conor Benn has failed a VADA test, what was your instant reaction?
My instant reaction? I was hurt. I was hurt. That was my instant reaction. I was hurt. Simply because I know Conor. And yeah, I was on the phone to Eubank Sr, who's actually in good, really, really good health. And I don't know where all this nonsense about he's in the psychiatric ward and all the rest of it. Let me just dispel that nonsense. When you speak truth to power, the easiest thing to do to dispel them is to say that they're mad or they're crazy, right? But now we look at everything that Chris Eubank Sr had said from the beginning, 3 months ago when this fight was first announced, then it seems that this man knew something. And I keep on saying that boxing is spiritual. You feel this. You feel it. Do you know what I mean? And energy does not lie. Energy doesn't speak in a language. Energy speaks in feeling. You must feel this. And he felt something wasn't right for his son, apart from him having to lose the extra 3 pounds that he hasn't done in so long. But as we see in the video, that he actually made the weight. But more so, like Chris Eubank Sr said to me, and if we could flip the page 6 years ago, okay? You know me, I always digress into other things. But if we flip the page 6 years ago, Chris Eubank Sr said to Conor Benn at the Anthony Joshua Dominic Brazil fight that your father should be here with you. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I'm sure you were here, Raz. I think you did the Dominic Brazil interview with him. I remember that because you got like about 10 million views off of that video, right?
Not as much, but yeah, good numbers that night.
It was over 1 million, I remember, right? So how it seems like this madman now is so right. Because if Nigel was there around his son, I don't believe any of this would have happened. I don't believe it. Any of this. So Eubank Sr said to me that he doesn't believe that Conor is a cheat. He says that I've seen a young man, I've spent time with this young man, and he said that he doesn't believe that Conor is a cheat. He doesn't believe that Conor would deliberately, listen to me, deliberately take a performance-enhancing drug or a mask knowingly, with intention, with the intent to do damage to somebody. He doesn't believe it. He believes that Conor Benn is actually a righteous young man. But, like he said, he is not guarded or protected because there is scum in boxing. There's scum in everything else, but there's scum in boxing. So I'm only reiterating what he just said to me. I should have jumped on 15 minutes earlier, but I was actually speaking to the dad because he phones me quite regularly. I'm honored by that, to tell you the honest truth, because he is a legend. But you know, my black book, as Tundi says, my black book's got more power than black magic. So there's nobody that I can't get hold of. But for Eubank Sr to say that he doesn't believe it's Conor, but how it reigns true now for the things that he said 6 years ago, and Conor got the hump. How time is a great measuring stick of life. But we all know who the finger's being pointed at, and no one can't sue me. that Usman, what's his name? Usman what?
Dr. Usman, can't remember the surname, but yeah.
Was it Shahid? I'm gonna tell you what is it? I think so, right? I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna just break this thing down. And I can't, right. Chris Eubank Sr. said that same doctor used to work with Adam Booth. And I know the guy. I've done an interview on his thing. He's a boxing fanatic, right? But then all of a sudden I see him he started working with guys, he started working in corners and all the rest of it, started being around the fight game. And this is the sport, how it is. Like, we accept anybody in the sport. What's your track record? Anybody in the sport. He was injecting Conor Benn, sorry, my apologies. He was injecting Chris Eubank Jr.'s hand, his knuckle, because of inflammation just before one of his fights when he was working with Adam Booth, right? And Eubank Sr. jumped in and said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop this. Don't put nothing inside of your body that you don't know what it is. No matter what you say a mad doctor says he's putting inside of you, do not put anything inside of your body." As we know, Chris Eubank Jr. is a clean athlete. There's been no allegation or anything else against him whatsoever. He's a clean athlete. But I'm saying that you have to be careful on the things that you're putting inside of your body. You've got to be so careful of what you're putting inside your body. And like I said, my heart goes out for everybody involved. But what Eubank did say, which went viral as you saw, and everybody used it, Eubank did say that if this fight did go ahead, and he was more talking about the weight, if the fight did go ahead, he had his lawyers ready and prepared to sue everybody involved for the attempted murder of his son.
Wow. Spence, if I may ask you on that conversation with Chris Eubank Sr., when you spoke to him, was he aware that the fight had got cancelled? Because I couldn't really hear clearly.
No. I told him that the fight was cancelled. And that was, yeah. And it was actually my son that filmed the conversation. So big up Amazing Amari, my 11-year-old. And it was, he found out then, and he was very, very happy. Amidst everything else, but he's very, very happy. And credit to how the Eubanks have carried themselves, because right now at this time it'd be easy to throw stones at Benz. Be easy to throw them. It'd be easy to try and kick them when they're down. Easy. But take out the fact that it's not, take away that it's not Conor Benn. It's a whole different scenario. It's not Conor Benn involved. How would we be reacting? How would we be reacting? And I'm seeing like everyone's like jumping on Eddie Hearn, waiting for the demise, like, yeah, good. Like we're trying to trample on Eddie Hearn. Those same ones, because this will spill over, those same ones in the fight fraternity who are trying to kill Eddie Hearn right now will be begging for a seat at his table to get their fighters on shows. So I'm saying on this, whatever you're standing on, stand on it. I know where everything that I will stand on it. I will stand on what I say. Right? Because my intentions behind anything that I say isn't to demoralize or to hurt anyone. So, you know, we shall see.
Spencer, the talk on Twitter over the last 2 days is, did Chris Sr. know about this weeks ago? We know this test, the results were available around the 23rd of September, and all parties involved apparently had knowledge of the results. From your discussion with Chris Eubank Sr., did he know about the results at that particular time?
I keep on saying to you, you go with feeling. And if something don't feel right, which is deep down in your gut, then you go with that feeling. And the whole thing didn't seem right to Chris Eubank Sr. Hence why he didn't want his son to participate in this sport. He didn't want him to. He didn't, not in this sport, but in this particular fight. He didn't want his son in the fight.
Spence, we know how stubborn Chris Eubank Sr. is in his respected way. We know Chris Eubank Jr. has similar traits where he's stubborn in his own way. But if anyone can speak to Chris Eubank Jr. and get to change his mind, it's his father. We know how close they are. But it seemed like that wasn't working. Chris Eubank Sr. said many weeks ago to you on The Fight Is Right that very clearly that I don't want my son coming to a weight that he's never made. It's dangerous for him. We saw the clip last week as well where he was talking about boycotting the fight. Why do you feel like Chris Eubank Jr. then wanted to proceed with the fight?
Because he's a prize fighter. That's why. And what is the biggest problem? Who's going to get 4 mil for that fight? He's a prize fighter. He's a prize fighter. And also in his mind, to the vernacular, he's saying there's no way on earth I could cut off one of my legs. Conor Benn can't beat me. That was his mindset. And as much as, and I think Chris Sr. has to respect his son, even though he wouldn't agree with his son, because his son is actually his own man. And he, by Chris's own admissions from years back, I'm talking like 10 years ago when I used to get him sparring down at Rooney's gym, when he used to do some work with Anthony Yard, Richard Williams, Larry Ekandaya. He would say to me like, my son is a thoroughbred. You gotta let him go. You gotta let him. You've got to let him fight. This is what he does. He's a right. So Chris was saying this to me from back then. So what do you expect? So he's gonna get that. The apple never falls far from the tree. Chris Eubank Sr. was his own man. You gotta tell him certain things, right? So where do you think his son got that from?
But should someone, the news gets broken on Wednesday-ish, Conor Jr., both do interviews with Matchroom saying, listen, we've spoken to our teams, we've spoken to the doctors, and we want to fight. But should Chris's team, people around him, promoters, managers, whoever, put this hand over his shoulder and say, Chris, we need to pull you out this fight?
No, listen, that's not the game. That's not the sport that we're in. This sport is quite simple, right? And this is no disrespect to the Sowlands. This is no disrespect to Eddie Hearn. This is no disrespect to none of these guys. I'm just going to tell you how it is. You, Mr. Fighter, are chewing gum, right? And what do you do with chewing gum when it has no longer the taste? You spit it out, don't you? That's who you are. Now, I can't even turn around and say fighters are a piece of meat. You're not even a piece of meat. Because with meat, there is some protein and nutritional value in meat, right? When it goes through the digestive system, you're going to get the protein, you're going to get stronger. With chewing gum, there is no nutritional value in chewing gum whatsoever. Actually, chewing gum tricks the stomach to think that you're receiving food. So you, as a fighter, realize that you're handled as a piece of chewing gum. And when you can't get that last bit of hubba bubba bubble out of it, you're chewing, it's hard, you spit it out. And this is what fighters are, right? And more so, you have to realize that you are that way inclined when people knew of what happened and they weren't thinking of the safety of human beings. They were thinking of the economical value that it brought. Then I question these things. And I'm saying that it is seemingly pimps and prostitutes, as Mike Tyson used to famously say. Right? So, and it doesn't matter. You could be the baddest looking prostitute out there, right? You'll still get pimped out. And unfortunately, this situation here seemingly was like they was being pimped out. So,
Spencer,
Alex, if you're the baddest pussy, you're going to get effed.
I know Ben's a fighter. I know he's a warrior. I know the fighters are fighters in the ring, but he's still a very young man. What is he going through right now? And what does he need around him right now during this incredibly tough time?
Realize already, they're trying to throw the kid under the bus already, right? Now, I am saying again, I'm going back to the Chris Eubank, Dominic Brazil, Anthony Joshua press conference when Chris Eubank pleaded for him to say that his father should be there, right? The failings of what's happened is because you've entrusted people around you, right? You've entrusted people around you that shouldn't have been around you. Now, I'm not going to call on names because I can't. I can say about that doctor, brother, who's now deleted his Instagram, right? I can call him and say, yeah, because I have seen the video, which was on the Undefeated podcast, ripped it up and put it up there. So big up Travis and big up KG, where he was saying about what you can do to mask these things. So, you know what I mean? No, I'm not happy about this. I'm not at all. I'm hurt by this. I'm gonna be real. I'm hurt by this. So for Conor Benn, similarly to when you're going through any form of demise or any form, I'm telling you this now through experience. I lost my mum. There was no greater burden to me than losing my mum. Right? These things, as it says in the Holy Quran, that this world is but sport and play. It's sport and play. Right? It's how you prepare for the sport and it's how you play the play. Now, I would say to Conor Benn, right now, because I speak regularly to him, he needs a hug. His father is a very, very religious man, and he needs prayer right now, right? He needs prayer. And hopefully within that, then they can find a way. Like I said, Chris Eubank Sr. said to me, he doesn't believe that Conor Benn is a cheat. Maybe the people around him. But the sad thing is this. This is the sad thing. I'm just keeping this thing 100, right? Because you know me, I'm keeping it 100. All of a sudden now, we're going to question all of certain people's camps. Right? Joe Cordina's an excellent fighter. Excellent. I've said from ages, yeah, that kid's going to be a world champ from day dot. I've been saying this. Now all of a sudden, we're going to say, oh, well, you weren't known as a puncher. Now you're knocking at people. Do you get what I'm trying to say? We're going to say, oh, look at the body type of Felix Cass. He don't look like no fighter. You know what I mean? This is what's going to happen now. You know what I mean? So when, and you know, and people will say, oh, if there's no smoke without fire. So seriously, my heart goes out to him. I hope that he's not guilty. I pray that he's not guilty. And more so, he could have something inside of his body. My thing is this. Did you intentionally take whatever was found inside of you? And if you intentionally took it, then you should be banned. I'm going to be real. I'm just going to be real. And I love Conor Benn. Greatest respect for him. Good you. But if you intentionally cheated, then the book should be thrown at you. But if you did something or you unwillingly did something, then no, because it's never your actions, but it's your intentions. Me and you both could set off to go kill a man on the street. Your guy turns up, you get rid of him. You know what I mean? Because you're Raz the killer. My guy don't turn up, but I've got my weapon in hand to go get rid of him, right? We're both coming back home and we're found. A person should go to jail for your intentions and not your actions. But how do you read into your intentions? So therefore, I'm not in a position to judge Conor Benn. I'm just saying, but if it was your intentions, and we know how dangerous this sport is, and you and your team were trying to drag a man 3 pounds underneath a weight that he's not used to, and if this was true that you have, then the book should be thrown at you. And it's not for the sake of the fact, like, but I know you, I cannot be a hypocrite. If that is true, then that should happen to you. But deep down in my heart, I'm kind of like, I don't think that he'd do that because I know he's a good youth. But if that is the case, throw the book at him.
Spence, appreciate you jumping on Saturday. I know it's normally family day for yourself, so I do appreciate jumping on at the very last minute. As always, very generous with your time. As always, time will tell. A full investigation will now take place, and I'm sure in the next weeks or months we'll have a conclusion on what happens. I will give you a buzz next week, Spence. There's a lot of fights happening. Wilder's back next week. Haney's defending against Kambosos. Shields Marshall. We've got a Probellum show. It's a mad week of boxing, so we'll definitely catch up again next week.
Yes, sir. And I'm heading out right now to Restaurant 33 down in Mayfair. I've got dinner with the legendary Dame Dash, right? So I've got to big up my guy Rob Stanley and Dame Dash tomorrow at the Indigo. If you haven't bought your ticket, Mickey Slim Ting, those guys are putting it on. Is who made the movie The Intent 1, 2. They're making Intent number 3 as well. So I'm looking forward to that movie. But a massive big up to those gentlemen for pioneering this. Big up Rob Stanley as well. And big up Trilogy Sports, because you're going to hear a lot about them very, very soon. Big up Frankie the jeweler. Peace, two fingers. I'm out. Tune in tomorrow, 8 o'clock. The fight is right. Myself and Babatunde Ajayi with an exclusive from Chris Eubank, which I'll send to you as well, Raz. Take care. Salam alaikum.
Chris Eubank, Spencer here on IFL TV. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna share something with you that might put me in a very negative light. Yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.